Lyon.
Lyon, locally. Arpitan, Lyon. Historically spelled Lyon, is a city in east-central France in the Rhône-Alpes region, situated between Paris and Marseille. Etymologically it relates to the Celtic god Lugoves, Lugh as do Laon and Leiden. Lyon is located approximately 470 kilometres from Paris, 320 kilometres from Marseille, 420 kilometres from Strasbourg, 160 kilometres from Geneva, 280 kilometres from Turin. The residents of the city are called Lyonnais. The population of Lyon is 484,344, 2010. Together with its suburbs and satellite towns, Lyon forms the largest conurbation in France outside Paris. Its urban region represents half of the Rhône-Alpes region population with 2.9 million inhabitants. Lyon is the capital of this region, as well as the capital of the smaller Rhône department. The city is known for its historical and architectural landmarks and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Lyon was historically known as an important area for the production and weaving of silk and in modern times has developed a reputation as the capital of gastronomy in France. It has a significant role in the history of cinema due to Auguste and Louis Lumière, who invented the cinematography in Lyon. The city is also known for its famous light festival Fête des Lumières, which occurs every December 8 and lasts for 4 days, earning Lyon the title of Capital of Lights. Legend says that the Virgin Mary saved the city from the plague and, to thank her, a statue was built. On the day it was erected, the whole city was lit by candles that its citizens have put at their windows. The local professional football team, Olympique Lyonnais, has increased Lyon's profile internationally through participation in European football championships. Economically, Lyon is a major centre for banking as well as for chemical, pharmaceutical, and biotech industries. The city contains a significant software industry with a particular focus on video games, and in recent years has fostered a growing local startup sector. Lyon also hosts the international headquarters of Interpol, Euronews and International Agency for Research on Cancer. By some measures, Lyon is ranked second in France as an economic centre and convention centre. Lyon was ranked 8th globally and second in France for innovation in 2011. It ranked second in France and 38th globally in Mercer's 2010 livability rankings.
History.
Forvia Hill was a Roman colony in 43 BC by Munatius Plancus, a lieutenant of Caesar, on the site of a Gaulish hill fort settlement called Lugh, from the Celtic god Lugoves, light, cognate with Old Irish Lugh, Modern Irish Lugh, and Dunan, hill fort. Lugh was equated by the Romans to Mercury. Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa recognized that Lugdunum's position on the natural highway from northern to southeastern France made it a natural communications hub, and he made Lyon the starting point of the principal Roman roads throughout Gaul. It then became the capital of Gaul, partly thanks to its convenient location at the convergence of 2 navigable rivers, and quickly became the main city of Gaul. 2 emperors were born in this city, Claudius and Caracalla. Today, the Archbishop of Lyon is still referred to as Primat des Gauls, and the city often referred to as the Capitale des Gauls. The Christians in Lyon were martyred for their religion under the reigns of the various Roman emperors, most notably Marcus Aurelius and Septimus Severus. Local saints from this period include Blandina, Blandine, Pothinus, Pothin, and Epipodius, Epipod, among others. In the 2nd century AD, the great Christian bishop of Lyon was the Eastern Irenaeus. Burgundian refugees from the destruction of Worms by the Huns in 437 were resettled by the military commander of the West, Aetius, at Lugdunum, which was formerly the capital of the new Burgundian kingdom by 461. In 843, by the Treaty of Verdun, Lyon, with the country beyond the Seine, went to Lotharii, and later became a part of the Kingdom of Arles. Lyon came under French control in the 14th century. Fernand Braudel remarked, historians of Lyon are not sufficiently aware of the bipolarity between Paris and Lyon, which is a constant structure in French development. From the late Middle Ages to the Industrial Revolution. In the late 15th century, The fairs introduced by Italian merchants made Lyon the economic counting house of France. Even the Bourse, treasury, built in 1749, resembled a public bazaar where accounts were settled in the open air. When international banking moved to Genoa, then Amsterdam, Lyon remained the banking centre of France. In 1572, Lyon was a scene of mass violence against Huguenots in the St. Bartholomew's Day massacres. During the French Revolution, Lyon rose up against the National Convention and supported the Girondins. In 1793, the city was assaulted by the revolutionary armies and under siege for over 2 months before eventually surrendering. Several buildings were destroyed, especially around the Place Bellecour. Jean-Marie Collot d'Herbois and Joseph Fouché administered the execution of more than 2,000 people. A decade later, Napoleon ordered the reconstruction of all the buildings demolished during this period. During the Renaissance, the city's development was driven by the silk trade, which strengthened the city's ties to Italy. Italian influence on Lyon's architecture can still be seen today. Thanks to the silk trade, the city became an important industrial town during the 19th century. In 1831 and 1834, the Carnats, silk workers, of Lyon staged 2 major uprisings. The 1831 uprisings saw one of the first recorded uses of the black flag as an emblem of protest. In 1862, the world's first funicular railway was built between Lyon and La Croix-Rousse. During World War II, Lyon was a centre for the occupying German forces as well as a stronghold of resistance. The traboules, secret passages, through houses enabled the local people to escape Gestapo raids. On September 3, 1944, the city was liberated by the 1st Free French Division and the forces Françaises d'Interieur. The city is now home to a resistance museum. See also Klaus Barbie.
Geography.
The Rhône and Seine rivers converge to the south of the historic city centre, forming a peninsula or presqu'île. There are 2 large hills, one to the west and one to the north of the city centre, as well as a large plain which sprawls eastward. West of the presqu'île, the original medieval city, Lyon, was built on the west bank of the Seine River at the foot of the Fourvière Hill. This area, along with portions of the presqu'île and much of the Croix-Rousse, is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. To the west is Fourvière, known as the Hill that Prays. This is the location for the highly decorated Basilica of Notre-Dame de Fourvière, several convents, the Palace of the Archbishop, the Tour Métallique, a highly visible TV tower, replicating the last stage of the Eiffel Tower, and a funicular, a railway on a steep hill. To the north is the Croix-Rousse, known as the Hill that Works. This area is traditionally home to many small silk workshops, an industry for which the city was once renowned. Place Bellecour is located on the presqu'île between the 2 rivers and is the 3rd largest public square in France. The broad, pedestrian-only Rue de la République leads north from Place Bellecour. The second arrondissement has many of the finest old residential buildings in Lyon, and the area is known for its concentration of old Lyonnais Catholic families, particularly in the Aînés part of the arrondissement. East of the Rhône from the presqu'île is a large area of flat ground upon which sits much of modern Lyon and contains most of the city's population. Situated in this area is the urban centre of Part-Dieu, which clusters the Tour Part-Dieu, affectionately nicknamed the Pencil, the Tour Oxygène, the Tour Swiss Life, Le Part-Dieu, the shopping centre, and Lyon Part-Dieu, one of Lyon's 2 major rail terminals. North of this district is the relatively wealthy 6th arrondissement, which is home to the Parc de la Tête d'Og, one of Europe's largest urban parks, the prestigious Lycée du Parc to the south of the park, and Interpol's world headquarters on the park's western edge. The park contains a free zoo that has recently been upgraded.
Climate.
Lyon lies in the broad transition zone between the temperate oceanic climates of northern France, and the subtropical Mediterranean climates to the south. Although Lyon does not share the drier summers typical of Mediterranean climates, it has summer temperatures that are warmer than typical temperate oceanic climates. In contrast, Lyon does not share the higher winter rainfall and cool summer temperatures typical of oceanic climates. Thus, Lyon appears to be located somewhat in the broad transition zone between these two climate types. The mean temperature in Lyon in the coldest month is 3.2 degc, 37.8 degf, in January, and in the warmest month in July are 22 degc, 71.6 degf. Precipitation is adequate year-round, at an average of 830 mm, 32.7 in, but the winter months are the driest.
And administration.
Lyon is the capital of the Rhône-Alpes region, the prefecture of the Rhône department, and the capital of 14 cantons, covering one commune, and with a total population of 484,344, 2010. Like Paris and Marseille, the city of Lyon is divided into a number of municipal arrondissements, each of which is identified by a number and has its own council and town hall. 5 arrondissements were originally created in 1852, when 3 neighboring communes, La Croix-Rousse, La Guillotière, and Veilles, were annexed by Lyon. Between 1867 and 1959, the 3rd arrondissement, which originally covered the whole of the left bank of the Rhône, was split 3 times, creating a new arrondissement in each case. Then, in 1963, the commune of Saint-Rambert-l'Albarbe was annexed to Lyon's 5th arrondissement. A year later, in 1964, the 5th was split to create Lyon's 9th, and, to date, final, arrondissement. Within each arrondissement, there are a number of recognizable quartiers or neighborhoods. 1st arrondissement, slopes of La Croix-Rousse, Terrier, Martigny Street Vincent. 2nd arrondissement, Cordeliers, Bellecour, Aîné, Paraque, Confluent. 3rd arrondissement, Guillotière, North, Prefecture, Part-Dieu, Villette, Dauphin-Sans-Souci, Montchat, Grange Blanche, North, Montplaisir, North. 4th arrondissement, Plateau de la Croix-Rousse, Serine. 5th arrondissement, Vieux-Lyon, Saint-Paul, Saint-Jean, St. George's, Saint-Just, Saint-Irénée, Fourvière, Pointe-du-Jour, Mouneville, Batières, Champvert, South. 6th arrondissement, Brotteaux, Ballicum, Parc de la Tête d'Og, Site International. 7th arrondissement, Guillotière, South, Jean Mace, Guerlain. 8th arrondissement, Montplaisir, South, Bachelet, Etoits Unis, Grand Trol Moulin Event, Grange Blanche, South, Lenc, Mermoz, Montplaisir-La Plaine. 9th arrondissement, Veilles, Douchier, Rocher-Cardon, Street Rambert-l'Albarbe, Gorge de Loup, Observance, Champvert, North. Geographically, Lyon's 2 main rivers, the Seine and the Rhône, divide the arrondissements into 3 groups. To the west of the Seine, the 5th arrondissement covers the Old City, Vieux-Lyon, Fourvière Hill and the plateau beyond. The 9th is immediately to the north, and stretches from Gorge de Loup, through Veilles to the neighboring suburbs of Écaulles, Champagne-en-Mont-d'Og, Saint-Didier-en-Mont-d'Og, Saint-Cyr-en-Mont-d'Og and Calonges-en-Mont-d'Og, between the 2 rivers, on the presqu'île of the 2nd, 1st and 4th arrondissements. The 2nd includes most of the city centre, including Bellecour and Paraque railway station, and reaches as far as the confluence of the 2 rivers. The 1st is directly to the north of the 2nd and covers part of the city centre, including the Hôtel de Ville, and the slopes of La Croix-Rousse. To the north of the boulevard is the 4th arrondissement, which covers the plateau of La Croix-Rousse, up to its boundary with the commune of Courrières-Équerre. To the east of the Rhône, are the 3rd, 6th, 7th and 8th arrondissements. The urban community of Lyon, also known as Greater Lyon, is the intercommunal structure gathering the city and some of its suburbs. The urban community encompasses only the core of the metropolitan area of Lyon.
Mayors. Culture.
Since the Middle Ages, the residents of the region speak several dialects of Arpitan language. The Lyonnais dialect was partly replaced by the French language as the importance of the city grew. However, it is still alive and, in addition, some Frenchified Franco-Provençal words can also be heard in the French of the Lyonnais, who call their little boys and girls gons, and fenots for example. The Lumiere brothers pioneered cinema in the town in 1895. the Massy Lumiere, built as Auguste Lumiere's house, and a fascinating piece of architecture in its own right, holds many of their first inventions and other early cinematic and photographic artifacts. December 8 each year is marked by the Festival of Lights, La Fête des Lumières, a celebration of thanks to the Virgin Mary, who purportedly saved the city from a deadly plague in the Middle Ages. During the event, the local population places candles, lumignons, at their windows, and the city of Lyon organizes impressive large-scale light shows onto the sides of important Lyonnais monuments, such as the medieval Cathedral Street Jean. The Church of St. Francis of Sales is famous for its large and unaltered Cavaille pipe organ, attracting audiences from around the world. The Opéra Nouvelle, New Opera House, is the home of the Opéra National de Lyon. The original opera house was redesigned by the distinguished French architect Jean Nouvel between 1985 and 1993 and is named after him. Lyon is also the French capital of trompe-l'œil walls, a very ancient tradition. Many are to be seen around the city. This old tradition is now finding a contemporary expression, for example in the art of Guillaume Bottazzi, the Brothers of the Sacred Heart, a Roman Catholic congregation that operates schools in Europe and North America, was founded in Lyon in 1821. The African Museum of Lyon is one of the oldest museums situated in Lyon. The Museum of Resistance and Deportation looks at the various persons prominent in the resistance movement in World War II. The building is strongly linked to Klaus Barbie. Lyon sees itself as the center of the French resistance, and many members were shot in Place Bellecour in the town center. The exhibition is largely a series of mini-biographies of those involved. The unusual project Lyon Dubai City, a reproduction of some districts of Lyon in Dubai, is a major point for the tourism in Lyon. Lyon is a pilot city of the Council of Europe and the European Commission Intercultural Cities Programme.
UNESCO World Heritage Site.
The historic site of Lyon was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1998. In its designation, UNESCO cited the exceptional testimony to the continuity of urban settlement over more than 2 millennia on a site of great commercial and strategic significance. The specific regions composing the historic site include the Roman district and Forvia, the Renaissance district, Vieux-Lyon, the Silk district, slopes of Croix-Rousse, and the Presqu'Isle, which features architecture from the 12th century to modern times. Both Vieux-Lyon and the slopes of Croix-Rousse are known for their narrow passageways, named traboules, that pass through buildings and link streets on either side. The first examples of traboules are thought to have been built in Lyon in the 4th century. The traboules allowed the inhabitants to get from their homes to the Seine River quickly and allowed the Canuts on the Croix-Rousse hill to get quickly from their workshops to the textile merchants at the foot of the hill.
Gastronomy.
Lyonnais cuisine is renowned. For several centuries Lyon has been known as the French capital of gastronomy, due in part to the presence of many fine chefs including Paul Bocuse and other gastronomes like Colette Sibylla. This reputation also comes from the fact that two of France's best-known wine-growing regions are located near Lyon, the Beaujolais to the north, and the Côtes du Rhône to the south. Beaujolais wine is very popular in Lyon and remains the most common table wine served with local dishes. Lyon is the home of very typical and traditional restaurants serving local dishes, and local wines served at bouchons. The city is famous for its morning snacks formerly had by its silk workers, the machins, made up of local charcuterie and usually accompanied by Beaujolais red wine. Traditional local dishes include rosette lyonnaise and saucisse de Lyon, sausage. Andouillette, a sausage of coarsely cut tripe. Pistachio sausage. Coq au vin. Essox, pike, quenelle. Gras double, tripe cooked with onions. Salade lyonnaise, lettuce with bacon, croutons and a poached egg. Marrons glaces. Cassim de Lyon, sabadé and cardoon or gratin. Cerveau de canut, lit silk workers' brains, is a cheese spread dip, a Lyonnais speciality. The dish has a base of fromage blanc, seasoned with chopped herbs, shallots, salt, pepper, olive oil and vinegar.
Sport.
Lyon is home to the Ligue 1 football team Olympique Lyonnais, commonly known as Lyon, or OL. Team members have enjoyed unprecedented success recently, winning 7 consecutive national titles and establishing themselves as France's premier football club. The team competes in the prestigious UEFA Champions League and currently plays at the Stade de Gerland, where the Danone Nations Cup is held every year. The team is set to move to a new stadium in Dessines-Charpieu, in the eastern suburbs, in 2016, one which will hold 61,556 people. Lyon also has a rugby union team, Lyon OU, currently playing in Rugby Pro D2. In addition, Lyon has a rugby league side, Lyon Villeurbanne, play in the French Rugby League Championship. The club's current home ground is Stade Georges Livet in Villeurbanne. Lyon is also home to the Lyon Hockey Club, an ice hockey team that competes in France's National Ice Hockey League. The Patinage Charlemagne is also the seat of Club des Sports de Glace de Lyon, the club of Olympic champions Marina Anasina and Gwendal Fizerat, and world champions Isabelle Delabelle and Olivier Schoenfelder. Both pairs competed in ice dancing. Finally, Villeurbanne also has a renowned basketball team, ASVEL, whose members play at the Astrobal Arena in La Ronde-Bonnevet.
Economy.
The GDP of Lyon is €62 billion, and the city is the second richest city after Paris. Lyon and its region Rhône-Alpes represent one of the most important economies in Europe and, according to Loughborough University, can be compared to Philadelphia, Mumbai or Athens concerning its international position. The city of Lyon is working in partnerships to more easily enable the establishment of new headquarters in the territory, Aidely, Chambre du Commerce et d'Industrie, Grand Lyon. According to the ECER Banque Populaire, Lyon is the 14th favorite city in the European Union concerning the creation of companies and investments. High-tech industries like biotechnology, software development, game design, and Internet services are also growing. Other important sectors include medical research and technology, non-profit institutions, and universities. Lyon is home to some of the most dangerous viruses in the world, Class 4, in the Jean-Marie Laboratory of Research, like Ebola, Marburg, Nipah, Hendra, and Lassa. The city is the headquarters of many companies like Euronews, Lyon Airports, BioMarin, Sanofi Pasteur, LCLSA, Sigurd Group, Boiron, Infogrames, Group SEB, Renault Trucks, Iris Bus, LVL Medical, GL Events, Compagnie Nationale du Rhône, and intergovernmental agencies IARC, Interpol. The specialization of some sectors of activities has the consequence of creating several main business centers. Le Part-Dieu, located in the 3rd arrondissement, is the second biggest business quarter after La Défense in Paris with over 1,600,000 m2, 17,222,256.67 square feet, of office space and services and more than 40,000 jobs. Site International, created by the architect Renzo Piano, is located in the border of the Parc de la Tête d'Or in the 6th arrondissement. The worldwide headquarters of Interpol is located there. The district of Confluence, in the south of the historic centre, is a new pole of economical and cultural development. Tourism provides a big boost to the Lyon economy with €1 billion in 2007 and 3.5 million hotel nights in 2006 provided by non-residents. Approximately 60% of tourists visit for business, with the rest for leisure. In January 2009, Lyon ranked first in France for hostels business. The festivals most important for attracting tourists are the Fête des Lumières, the Nuits de Fourvière every summer, the Biennale de Contemporain and the Nuits Sonores.
Demographics.
The population of the city of Lyon was 484,344 at the 2010 census, 14% of whom were born outside metropolitan France.
Main sites. Antiquity.
The Roman ruins on the hillside near the Fourvière Basilica with the ancient theatre of Fourvière, the Odeon of Lyon and the accompanying Gallo-Roman Museum, Amphitheatre of the Three Gauls, Roman ruins of an amphitheatre.
Middle Ages and Renaissance.
Cathedral of St. John, a medieval church with architectural elements of the 13th, 14th and 15th centuries, also the principal religious structure in the city and the seat of the Archbishop of Lyon. Basilica of St. Martin d'Annay, one of the rare surviving Romanesque basilica-style churches in Lyon. Église St. Paul, Romanesque, 12th and 13th century, and Gothic, 15th–16th century, church. Église St. Bonaventure, 14th and 15th century Gothic church. Église St. Nizier, Gothic church from the 15th century, having a doorway carved in the 16th century by Philibert de Lorme. Vieux Lyon, English, Old Lyon, area, medieval and Renaissance quarter of the town, with shops, dining and cobbled streets. The many Renaissance hotels, particularly as of the Old Lyon quarter, such as the Hôtel de Bulliard, were also built by Philibert de Lorme.
17th and 18th century.
City Hall on the Place des Terriers, built by architects Jules Hardouin Mansart and Robert de Cotte. Musée des Beaux-Arts de Lyon, fine arts museum housed in a former convent of the 17th century, including the Baroque chapel Saint-Pierre. Hôtel Dieu de Lyon, 17th and 18th century, historical hospital with a Baroque chapel. Temple du Change, 17th and 18th century, former stock exchange of Lyon, Protestant temple since the 18th century. Place Bellecour, one of the largest town squares in Europe. Chapel de la Trinité, 1622, the first Baroque chapel built in Lyon, and part of the former École de la Trinité, now Collège Lycée Ampère. Église Saint Polycarpe, 1665–1670, classical church. Église Saint Just, 16th to 18th century, classical church. Saint Bruno des Chartres, 17th and 18th century, church, masterpiece of Baroque architecture. Église Notre-Dame Saint Vincent, 18th century, neoclassical church.
19th century and modern city.
Opera Nationale de Lyon, 1831, renovated in 1993 by Jean Nouvel. Basilica of Notre-Dame de Fourvière, large 19th century basilica on the top of Fourvière Hill. Tour métallique de Fourvière, 1894. La Moche Cattle Market and Abattoir, 1914–1928, designed by Tony Garnier. Sainte Marie de la Tourette Monastery, 1960, designed by Le Corbusier. Saint-Exupéry International Airport, formerly Satolas Airport, designed by Guillaume Gilbert. Gare de Lyon Saint-Exupéry, 1994, by Santiago Calatrava. Palais des Congrès de Lyon, 1998, designed by Renzo Piano and a group of buildings for various functions. Tour du Crédit Lyonnais, Tour Oxygène, Tour Incity.
Museums.
Musée des Beaux-Arts de Lyon, fine arts museum, main museum of the city and one of the largest art galleries in France. Housed in the Palais Saint-Pierre, a former 17th-century convent, it displays a major collection of paintings by artists, including Tintoretto, Paolo Veronese, Nicolas Poussin, Rubens, Rembrandt, Zurbaran, Canaletto, Delacroix, Monet, Gauguin, Van Gogh, Cézanne, Matisse, Picasso, Francis Bacon. Collections of sculptures, drawings and printings, decorative arts, Roman and Greek antiquities. The second largest collection of Egyptian antiquities in France after that of the Louvre. And a medal cabinet of 50,000 medals and coins. The Gallo-Roman Museum displaying many valuable objects and artworks found on the site of Roman Lyon, Lugdunum, such as circus games mosaic, Coligny calendar and the Torabolic altar. African Museum of Lyon, Centre d'Histoire de la Résistance et de la Déportation. Musée des Confluences, planned future Museum of Sciences and Anthropology. La Sucrière, Contemporary Arts Centre. Musée des Tissus et des Arts Décoratifs, Decorative Arts Museum. Musée de Contemporain de Lyon, Contemporary Art Museum. Musée Gauguin, Museum of the History of Lyon housed in a historic building in Vieux Lyon.
Parks and gardens.
Parc de la Tête d'Or, literally, Golden Head Park, in central Lyon is the largest urban park in France at 117 hectares. Located in the 6th arrondissement, it features a large lake on which boating takes place during the summer months. Jardin Botanique de Lyon, 8 hectares, included in the Parc de la Tête d'Og, is a municipal botanical garden and is open weekdays without charge. The garden was established in 1857 as a successor to earlier botanical gardens dating to 1796, and now describes itself as France's largest municipal botanical garden. Parc de Guerlain, in the south of the city, 80 hectares, Parc des Auteurs, in Fourvières, Parc de Mirabel-Jonage, 300 hectares, Parc de la Croix-Laval, 115 hectares, Parc de Parilly, 178 hectares.
Education.
École Centrale de Lyon, École Normale Supérieure de Lyon, M. Lyon, École de Management de Lyon, ECE Lyon, École de Commerce Européenne de Lyon, Institut d'études politiques de Lyon, Sciences Po Lyon, CPE Lyon, ECAM Lyon, École catholique d'arts et métiers de Lyon, École pour l'informatique et les nouvelles technologies, ENTPE, École nationale des travaux publics de l'État, ESME Sudria, École des Beaux-Arts, EARTSUP, Institut national des sciences appliquées de Lyon, located in Villeurbanne, ISTIL, Institut des sciences et techniques d'ingénieur de Lyon, located in Villeurbanne, Institut supérieur européen de gestion group, ISARA, Institut supérieur d'agriculture Rhône-Alpes, Institution des Chartres, Université Claude Bernard, Lyon 1, Université Lumière, Lyon 2, Université Jean Moulin, Lyon 3, IAE, Institut d'administration des entreprises de Lyon, Catholic University of Lyon, ESDES Business School, IDRAC, International School of Management, Westford Graduate Business School, IFAG, Business Management School, Institut supérieur européen de formation par l'action, Le Lycée du Parc, La Martinière Lyon, CESO, Centre Européen d'Enseignement Supérieur de l'Osteopathie, Bellecour, École d'Arts. There are some international private schools in Lyon, including Site Scolaire International de Lyon, Ombrosa, International School of Lyon, Montessori School of Lyon.
Transport.
Saint-Exupéry International Airport, located east of Lyon, serves as a base for domestic and international flights. It is an important transport facility for the entire Rhône-Alpes region. Coach links connect the airport with other towns in the area including Chambéry and Grenoble. With its in-house train station, Gare de Lyon Saint-Exupéry, the airport is also connected to the TGV network. Since August 2010, the Nuren Express tram links the international airport with the business quarter of La Part-Dieu in less than 30 minutes and can reach up to 100 km per hour. It offers connections with Underground A and B, Tramway T1, T2 and T3, and many bus lines. The Lyon-Bron Airport is a smaller airport dedicated to general aviation, both private and commercial. Having helipads, the facility hosts a gendarmerie and a sécurité civile, civilian defense, base. Lyon has two major railway stations, Lyon Part-Dieu, which was built to accommodate the TGV and has become the principal railway station for extra-regional trains. And Lyon Paraque, an older station that now serves primarily regional rail services. In practice, many trains, including TGVs, serve both stations. Smaller railway stations include Gorge de Loup, Veilles, Vénissieux, St. Paul and Jean Mace. Lyon is connected to the north, Lille, Paris, Brussels, and in the future Amsterdam, and the south, Marseille, Montpellier, and in the future Barcelona, Turin, by the TGV. Since March 23, 2012 there is also a direct TGV connection from Frankfurt via Strasbourg and Lyon to Marseille. It was the first city to be connected to Paris by the TGV in 1981. The city is at the heart of a dense road network and is located at the meeting point of several highways, A6, to Paris, A7, to Marseille, A42, to Geneva, and A43, to Grenoble. The city is now bypassed by the A46. A double motorway tunnel passes under Fourvière, connecting the A6 and the A7 autoroutes, both forming the autoroute du Soleil. Prior to the construction of the bypass by the east, the tunnel was famous for its traffic jams, since traffic between northern and southern France, as well as from neighboring countries and local traffic, converged at this point, Lyon being virtually the only low passage between the Alps and the Massif Central, extinct, volcano range. Lyon is served by the Eurolines intercity coach organisation. Its Lyon terminal is located at the city's Paris railway station, which serves as an intermodal transportation hub that also includes tramways, local and regional trains and buses, the terminus of Metro Line A, the bicycle service Vélo, and taxis. The TCL, for Transports en Commun Lyonnais, Lyon's all-four public transit system, consisting of metro, tramways and buses, serves 62 communes of the Lyon agglomeration. The metro network has 4 lines, A, B, C, D, 42 stations and runs with a frequency of up to a train every 2 minutes. There are 5 Lyon tram lines, T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, since April 2009, T1 from Montrachet in the south to IUT Fezine in the north, tram T2 from Paris railway station in the southwest to Saint-Priest in the southeast, tram T3 from Pardieu to Mézières, tram T4 from Mendes France to Fezine and tram T5 from Grange Blanche, in the southeast to Ear Expo in the southeast. The Lyon bus network consists of the Lyon trolley bus system, motorbuses, and coaches for areas outside the centre. There are also 2 funicular lines from Vieux-Lyon to Saint-Just and Fourvière. The ticketing system is quite simple right now, knowing that the city has only one operator for public transport. The Citroën, TCL is the brand name used for the transport. It stands for Transport en Commun Lyonnais, Lyon Common Transport. In 2008, an ARIA, commuter rail, project was started, with the objective of linking Lyon with the surrounding cities which are growing fast. It should have a total of 8 lines and will replace the actual TER lines operated by the SNCF, National French Railway Network. It was planned to be fully finished by 2010. The public transit system has been complemented since 2005 by Velov, a bicycle network providing a low-cost and convenient bicycle hire service where bicycles can be hired and dropped off at any of 340 stations throughout the city of Lyon and Villeurbanne. Lyon was the first city in France to introduce this bicycle renting system. Borrowing a bicycle for less than 30 minutes is free. Free rental time can be extended to another 15 minutes at any station. In 2011 the Auto-Élève car rental service was introduced. It works exactly like the Velov but for cars.
Notable residents.
Claudius, 10 BC, AD 54, Roman Emperor. Caracalla, 188–217, Roman Emperor. Louise Lade, famous Renaissance female poet. Frederick Bank, athlete. Irene Alias, 2nd century AD 202, Bishop of Lugdunum and Gaul and early Christian martyr. André-Marie Ampère, 1775–1836, physicist and mathematician. Raymond Barre, French politician. Aziz Bagag, writer and politician. Paul Bocuse, born 1926, prominent chef, recipient of the Chef of the Century Award. Gerard Collomb, politician and current mayor of Lyon. Clovis Cornillac, actor. Nathalie Deshaies, opera singer. Yuri Jakalev, footballer. Leanne Foley, singer, humorist and actress. Eric Guirado, film director and writer. Theodore Herpin, 1799–1865, physician known for his work involving epilepsy. Maurice Jarre, musician, famous for his movie soundtracks. Jean-Michel Jarre, musician, son of Maurice Jarre, above. Alan Kardec, spiritist. Katsuni, pornographic actress. Jerome Clerviel, trader. Alexander Lacassagne, criminologist. Edmond Locard, pioneer in forensic science. Auguste and Louis Lumière, inventors of cinematograph. André Mankian, musician. Jean-Baptiste Mournier, actor. Jean Moulin, hero and leader of the French resistance during the Second World War. Émile Ntamak, rugby union player. Abbé Pierre, priest and philanthropist; Juliette Recamier, famous 19th-century society leader, intellectual and muse; Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, writer and pioneer of aviation; Jean-Baptiste Say, economist; Louis-Gabriel Suchet, Marshal of France, one of Napoleon's greatest generals; Bertrand Tavernier, film director; Siehan Kurt, poet, writer; Sylvie Testud, actress; Florence Foresti, humorist; Jean-Yves Thibaudet, pianist.
Movies in Lyon.
1895, 14 Vues Lumière film is a Lyon enter 1895 A 1900 by Auguste and Louis Lumière, 1929, The Kiss, Le Baiser, by Jacques Feuder with Greta Garbo, 1938, Le Petit Chose by Maurice Cloche with Arletty, Robert Lenin, 1945, 120 Rue de la Guerre by Jacques Daniel Norman with René Dary, Sophie Desmarais, 1946, Un Revenant by Christian Jacques with Louis Jouvet, Gaby Mollet, François Perrier, Marguerite Marino, Lugh Militarina, 1949, La Cage aux Fils by Maurice Cloche with Daniel Delorme, Noël Roquevert, 1950, Cœur sur Mer by Jacques Daniel Norman, 1952, Les Dents Longues by Daniel Jellin with Daniel Jellin, Daniel Delorme, Louis de Funès, 1953, Thérèse Racan by Marcel Carny, with Simone Signoret, Raph Vallone, Jacques Duby, 1956, Un condamné mort s'échappe by Robert Bresson, 1956, Crime et Châtiment by Georges Lampin with Jean Gabin, Robert Hossein, Marina Vladi, Bernard Blier, Gaby Mollet, Lino Ventura, 1964, Insoumis by Alain Cavalier with Alain Delon, Lima Seri, 1966, Le Voyage du Pas by Denis de la Patellière with Fernandel, Lily Palmer, Laurent Terzif, Madeleine Robinson, Michel Auclair, Philippe Noiret, 1969, La Sirène du Mississippi by François Truffaut with Jean-Paul Belmondo, Catherine Deneuve, 1969, L'Armée des Ombres by Jean-Pierre Melville with Lino Ventura, Simone Signoret, Paul Maurice, Jean-Pierre Cassel, 1974, La Loge de Saint-Paul by Bertrand Tavernier with Philippe Noiret, Jean Rochefort, 1975, Verdict by André Caillet with Jean Gabin, Sophia Loren, 1975, La Chair de l'Alcadie by Patrice Giraud with Charlotte Rampling, Edwige Veillard, Bruno Kremer, Simone Signoret, Ala de Valle, 1980, Une semaine de vacances by Bertrand Tavernier, with Nathalie Bay, Gerard Lanvin, Michel Galabru, 1981, Le Voyage à Lyon by Claudia von Eilman, 1982, Coup de Foudre by Diane Courez with Mimir, Isabelle Huppert, Guy Marchand, 1985, Parole de Flic by José Pinheiro, with Alain Delon, Jacques Perrin, 1993, Un Crime by Jacques Derry, with Alain Delon, 1994, Lucy Aubrac by Claude Berry with Carole Bouquet, Daniel Auteuil, 1996, Les Veilleuses by André Tachine, 1998, Le Gondu Chorba by Christophe Ruggier, from the book by Aziz Bagag, 2000, Lyon Police Spéciale by Bertrand Arthurs, 2000, Tat Va Bien, On Sen Va by Claude Morieres, 2000, Une affaire de garde by Bernard Rapp with Bernard Giraudeau, 2002, Inventaire film des rues de la Croix Rousse à Lyon by Gérard Coron, 2002, Quant de descendres du ciel by Eric Guirado, 2003, Le Carte de la Vie by Philippe Le Guet, 2004, Vormada by Satish Kaushik, filmed by Bollywood, 2005, Destination Forvia by Gérard Coron, 2007, Apis Louis by Gaël Morel, 2007, De Trompes Vis by Bruno Deger, 2007, J'gu Parquet de Tien Ailes by Bernard Giangian, 2007, La Fille Coupéenne de by Claude Chabrol, 2008, Les Lions du Sang by Jacques Maillot, 2009, The International by Tom Tykwer, 2009, JTE Mangarese by Sophie Leloy, 2011, Les Lyonnais by Olivier Markel, 2011, Les Adopts by Melanie Laurent.
International relations.
Lyon is a pilot city of the Council of Europe and the European Commission Intercultural Cities Programme.
Twin towns, sister cities.
Lyon is twinned with
Gallery.
The lion, symbol of the city, is a common sight in Lyon. Other images